Welcome back to Mrs. Ritz's Earth Science YouTube channel. We are coming at you live from my brand new office, and we are going to be working on the Igneous Rock Lab. You should have already completed questions 1 through 4 and done the reading. We are now on to page 3, where you'll find this paper. Remember to access this. You can get it all through Teams. If you have a printer, you're welcome to print it. If not, follow along right on your computer. So we're going to get started. As you can see, I have a variety of rocks in front of me, and by the end of this lab, you're going to use your reference table and be able to identify the names of these 5 rocks. So we're going to start with this rock letter A right here that's in front of me. You're going to follow along. Again, on page 3, you're going to determine the texture. And remember, in earth science, texture is not the way it feels. It is more like the way it looks. Something is glassy if it has no crystals, fine if the crystals are between the tip of a pen and about how fat your pinky is, or officially between 1 millimeter and 10 millimeters. I have always reminded everybody that the tip of a pen is about 1 millimeter and your pinky is about 10 millimeters. So if it's less than the tip of your pen, it's fine. If it's between the two of those, it's coarse, and bigger than 10 millimeters is very coarse. You're going to determine its texture. Remember, vesicular means gas pockets, non-vesicular means no gas pockets. Environment of formation, intrusive or extrusive. Color, if you're on the right of the word color on the reference table, it's considered dark. If you're on the left, you'll have lighter color. Same with density. On the right, high density, left, low density. And same with composition. If you are to the right of the word composition, that rock will have mafic composition. And if you're to the left, that rock will have felsic composition. Rock name. So once you determine all of these, you can figure out the rock name on the reference table. And then you'll have to determine the minerals present by looking below. Let me grab a reference table, show you what I'm talking about there. You will determine the minerals present by looking below the rock that you find. So, for example, if the rock you found was pegmatite, you read the minerals that are listed below. So potassium, feldspar, quartz, plagioclase feldspar, biotite, and amphibole. So all of those minerals would be present in the rock pegmatite. So we're going to go ahead and do all of that for each of these 5 rocks. So I'm not going to do it all for you, but I am going to give you some assistance. So this is rock A. So the first thing you have to do is determine the texture of rock A, and I'm going to give this to you as a hint. So there's a crystal, there's a crystal, there's a crystal, there's a crystal, there's a crystal. So you can determine the crystal size and the texture by that hint. You also need to determine if this is vesicular or not. So hopefully by me holding this nice and close to you, you can determine if that is vesicular. The environment of formation should be pretty clear to you now if you've determined the texture. Remember, with environment of formation, big crystals intrusive, small crystals extrusive. Again, color, density, and composition can be kind of all determined at once. So if you know the color, light or dark, you can determine the density and the composition. Use all of that information and your reference table, page 6, to determine the rock name and the minerals present in rock A. Okay, we're going to turn on to rock B. If you're not ready to go to rock B yet, go ahead and pause me and you can move on. But rock B is right here. So we have this sample. We're going to determine the texture. So hopefully by holding it nice and close, let me see if I can. You're going to be looking to see, do you see any crystals anywhere? And while we're looking this close, you can also determine if it's vesicular or non-vesicular. See if holding it still there for a minute helps you to see a little bit better. So you're looking for crystals and whether it's vesicular or not. So now you should know the texture and whether it's vesicular or not. And once you know the texture, you can figure out its environment of formation. Again, color, density, and composition can all kind of be determined at once. So once you know the color, light or dark, you can decide whether this has dark or light color, high or low density, or felsic or mafic composition. You'll use all of that information, your reference table, page 6, determine the rock name and the minerals present. Again, this is rock B. If you have any questions, go ahead and message me if you didn't get a good look at it. Moving on to rock C. Again, if you're not ready, go ahead and pause. But here's rock C. So we're going to start with the texture. So each one of these little chunks of color is basically a crystal. So hopefully, by me holding my pen next to all these crystals, you can determine, again, if it's glassy, fine, coarse, or very coarse. Again, remember, I think a pen tip is about 1 millimeter, and my pinky is about 10 millimeters fat. So you can kind of, again, determine, are these bigger, smaller than a pen tip and a pinky? So that's the texture. I'll hold it a little bit here so you can determine, is it vesicular or non-vesicular? And once you know both textures, you should be able to determine the environment of formation. And you can, again, go with color first. So go with your gut. I know this one has multicolors, but go with your gut. Is it light or dark? Once you determined if it's light or dark, you can determine the density and the composition based on your reference table. You can also move on to the rock name and the minerals present by just reading page 6 of your reference table. Again, if you're not quite ready yet, you can hang on and press pause, but here is rock A, B, C, D. We are on to rock D. So again, you're going to start with texture. You're going to decide, is this glassy, fine, coarse, or very coarse? So you can, again, see pen, you can see pinky, and just take a look at it. Again, with vesicular or non-vesicular. Can you see, based on what I'm showing you, vesicular or non-vesicular? Now this time, I don't want you to get tricked up. This is a dark mineral, but make sure you read, this is a dark rock, but make sure you don't get tricked up on your reference table. You can also determine the density and the composition and the rock name. Go with the only choices there on your on the actual lab, because I don't want to trick you. And if you need to go back and change anything, go ahead and do that. And you can determine the rocks, the minerals present in this rock. All right, hopefully you were able to catch all of that, because I did just adjust my microphone to not realize that it was up. So hopefully you could have heard me through that whole thing. If not, I'll re-record. Finally, we are on to our final our final rock, rock E. This is the last one we're going to do. And again, you have to determine the texture. So I am seeing that this one is a little harder to see here. So do you see any crystals, and what size are those crystals? You're also going to be looking to determine if it's vesicular or not. And I do think that's a little hard to see on here, but I'll just give you a hint. Got one right, good ideas right there. Those are some of the bigger hints I can give you. So hopefully that helps. Again, if you can't see it very well, just shoot me a message in Teams. So that's texture, environment of formation, the color, density, composition. You should be able to see those fairly easy. Name the rock, you get multiple choices there, and finally the minerals present. As a hint, I did not use any rocks more than once, so you should be able to get all 5 of those based on the multiple choice answers you see there. And then after you finished these, there's a few post-lab questions that you have to type in, and then a few Regents multiple choice questions. Again, if you have any questions, please contact me, Mr. Miga, or Mr. D for help. Thanks. Don't forget, like and subscribe.